You are listening to the MTech Group podcast series, your source for trends about automated QA testing for the insurance industry.
Well, good afternoon, Ted. It's great to talk to you again. As you know, I'm Rob Secantine. It's a pleasure to talk with you again, Ted. We've shared a lot of experiences in the recent past, but it's really going to be fun talking to you today about a pretty serious issue in the insurance and annuity space, and that is the dreaded day two issues. And they are seen by almost every carrier, in the marketplace today. But before I get into that, I just think it's amazing the career that you've had, and I know you've been part of the service operations, aspect of a number of different carriers and TPAs. But what else have you accomplished in your broad career besides service operations?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel really blessed with my career, and other times I feel like just the opposite. But it's been a lot of fun because I've had the opportunity to do a lot of different things in the life insurance space. And as you mentioned, most of it actually was with life insurance companies, where I was in charge of service operations, basically the whole life cycle of the policy from application through claims. And that was very rewarding. Not only did I do it at life insurance companies, but I had the experience of working with two different TPAs as well. And that is kind of it's very, very similar in a lot of ways to working with the life insurance companies, but there are definitely some differences that make it even more complex. Earlier on in my career, I was very fortunate to spend 7 years in distribution, where I was recruiting and managing relationships with independent producers. And that was really helpful to me in my service operations that I did after that, because I had the opportunity to get into the distributor's office and see how they ran their business. And it really helped me understand the impacts that our work at the life insurance company would have on the distributor's business. So that was very, very meaningful to me. One other kind of highlight in my career was, and it was really challenging at times, but I was in the middle of mergers and acquisitions and divestitures quite a bit. And it gave me an opportunity to review and see some of the things that go on in actually doing that from an operational standpoint.
Wow, that is a heck of a career, Ted. And I'm going to draw on some of your experiences as we talk about this really critical issue to carriers, and that is the dreaded day two issues. I mean, you release a product, you spend all of that time developing the new product or the annuity, whatever, and you go through tremendous QA cycles, you spend the time, the effort, and you get the product to market only to find the day two issues. And those really are brand killers in a lot of respects. I mean, your experience with distribution, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, the majority of carriers, especially, the small and mid-sized carriers, are using independent agents to distribute their product. And those independent agents probably represent multiple carriers and their products. So when a problem occurs with a new product launch, what do agents and distributors do? I mean, do they work with that product until it's right, or do they just go to another one?
Well, that's a great point. And, going back to my days in distribution, we were working with independent producers, and there's still a number of career captive type distribution forces out there, but most of it is independent, and it is extremely sensitive. When I was involved with distribution, you work very hard to bring an independent producer to come to your company to do business with you. And what you want the initial experiences with them to be extremely positive. So you just cannot have anything go wrong. And I can remember a number of situations where product launches were taking place, and there would be a foul up that was either general to the product launch or specific to that particular distributor, and that spoiled the whole relationship. They will just leave you and move on to another carrier.
And so it's opportunity lost, literally.
That's correct.
And that's why the day two issue is so important to prevent if you can. But in our experience, it seems like most carriers sort of just expect it and then react to the day two issue. And that's if it's identified and so forth. But Can you tell me some of the ways that you've seen in your career what happens in a QA cycle, for example? I mean, there's so much work that's done to develop a product.
Yeah.
And as you said, from soup to nuts, from the illustration to the e-app, through new business underwriting, through policy admin, claims, et cetera. There are so many aspects to the product itself.
Yeah, it's interesting. All my career in service operations, I didn't think a lot about QA other than the QA that's done in operations for actual processing, which is quite different. But I certainly felt the impacts of insufficient QA in the technology space. And, it's always most sensitive. You've referred to the new product development. It's always most sensitive with new product and new business in the life insurance business. But as you also said, it's important through the whole life cycle of the policy. It's just that traditionally, getting new products to market quickly and effectively is the thing that's most key. And, I can think of a number of different scenarios in my career that have caused me and my colleagues, and sometimes our customers, pain as a result of, insufficient QA. And again, I mentioned I was with multiple carriers and TPAs in my careers, and they all had those problems because I'm learning that quality assurance is a very challenging thing to do enough of it effectively to really be certain that some of these day two issues won't occur. So, I can think about a couple of examples. One where policy pages that went out for a new business situation actually went out incorrectly. And that was an extremely embarrassing things to see that the pages were incorrect. And it also can be a problem from a compliance standpoint. If you haven't got, if you don't have that, done properly, then the policy is not really in compliance.
Well, it touched on something there that's interesting, Ted, and that is the need of the business to get new products out more quickly. And obviously, as every carrier has gone or is undergoing still the digital transformation, this only gets exacerbated, right? Because with digital products, we think, oh man, we're going to get those out much quicker than the old-fashioned way, if you will. But it seems as though getting products out faster has actually only made the problem worse. Have you seen that in your experience?
So, it's interesting. Again, there is always the push from the distribution part of the organization to get the products to market quickly. And I mentioned that I was on that side of it. So you're always pushing the team in the back office to get things done quickly so that those products can get out there and you can start bringing in revenue and start making the distributors that you promised these products to happy. Yet I've also been on the other side of it where you're on service operator and you want the thing to be a highly, you know that if it isn't a quality implementation, then you're going to be having to deal with all kinds of issues on the back end. The people in distribution don't have to deal with those issues. You do. So it tends to be kind of, for an insurance company, you get two groups
opposing forces.
Exactly.
Almost.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Now, as it relates, I haven't thought a whole lot about, whether products were done in a non-digital fashion or digital fashion, the QA still needed to be done. But now that we're in a digital world, there is more technology that has to be QA'd, where in the old world, it was probably just your underwriting system and your administration system. Now we've got, the e-apps, the illustrations, and all the connections and all the data that gets transferred between the various applications of the life cycle. So there is a lot of QA to be done these days.
And in order to try and test the entirety of that life cycle, that product life cycle, including the data transfer between these different applications, it's literally impossible probably to do the amount of testing beyond just what's referred to as the happy path that you could get done in a legitimately small amount of time, unless you had some automation capabilities. And that's really where MTech is delivering a very unique product that we call QMT. And QMT really pushes the envelope in terms of automating the QA process, Ted, because the software does give the user the ability to test the completeness of the business logic and the business flow all the way from soup then to nuts, so to speak. And that's what's really been interesting for us to see as we've been bringing this product to market. So, it sort of is a yin and a yang, it sounds like. You've got one side of the house that's saying, give it to me faster. The other side of the house is saying, yeah, but I need to make sure that I get it done right.
That's
so
correct.
I avoid these problems. And yet it's the business needs that really are the ones that are center focus. And that, of course, is bottom line revenue. And how do you achieve that? With products and new products. So what's been your experience, as you've looked at different QA aspects, being from both the operational side as well as the distribution side? Have you had any experience to see what impact either lack of QA or good QA can bring to a product?
Well, I can tell you that I was talking earlier on about the fact that being in charge of service operations at a TPA is a little bit different than it is at being at a life insurance company. And the reason is at a life insurance company, you have two levels of clients. You have your policy owners / applicants and your distributors. When you're at a TPA, you have three levels of clients. You have those same two that a life insurance company has, the policy owner and the distributor, but you also have the client life insurance company themselves. So that adds a whole lot of additional layers of stress to things that are going wrong, because you have the potential for getting all those groups dissatisfied. I can think back to, one of the things that I was involved with that I mentioned was being involved with mergers and acquisitions and consolidations and so forth. And I can think of examples where, conversions are taking place and insufficient QA is being done. And what that ends up doing is putting tremendous strain on those three levels of clients and the people that are trying to service them. And of course, that was me in that particular role at the time. So it made it really challenging. And not only were these sort of day two issues, and this was not new business related, it was in force. So it's a different part of the value chain for life insurance, but it's still equally critical because life insurance is very much financial. Some of these day two issues actually had a very, very significant financial impact to our clients, and the clients are always interested in trying to make sure that their distributors and policyholders are treated fairly. So sometimes the clients are in the position of having to make the financial impact unnoticed to the distributor and policy owner. And so that creates kind of a very interesting dynamic, which really highlights the importance of getting QA done right.
So it sounds like it would be fair to say that these day two issues that literally everyone suffers through affect every part of a carrier's or a TPA's business.
Absolutely.
And can you think about what the impact would be if you had the ability to not only reduce the amount of time involved in QA, but if you could combine that with the ability to provide so much greater coverage, test coverage of the new product that you could virtually eliminate day two issues? What impact would that have on the different parts of the business?
Well, it's a major impact. It's a win-win-win for everybody. I mean, I was talking before about the service operations wanting the quality to be there so that they don't have issues for the customers that they serve. Obviously, the distributors want to get products to market quickly. If you can get products to market quickly and do it with high quality, then that's the win-win. The other win is your customers and distributors. They will be receiving quality products quickly, and the distributors can get they're always excited about getting the products out there quickly and being able to deliver them with quality. So that means that their business can be successful, and they're going to feel more tied to the carrier's business when it's done like that.
I like the phrase you just used there, tied to the carrier's business, right? Because at the end of the day, it really is about brand and brand recognition. Because I
Yeah.
think you'll agree, once that brand has been tarnished, or that relationship that you talked about a little while ago has been tarnished, it's 2 and 3 and 4 times more difficult to regain that confidence from the agent or the distributor or whoever, the policy owner, than it is to get to win the business in the first place. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I can think back again to when I was recruiting those independent producers. It would take a lot of work to convince them that they needed to maybe do less with a carrier they were already working with and do more with you. And if you brought them on and their experience was very, very positive, then you've got them hooked. But if you mess things up right to begin with, they get turned off immediately. They go back to the carriers that they were working with before, and it's much more difficult to get them back again. Much more difficult.
I mean, how long in your experience, and it sounds like you've had those negative experiences, how long typically, does it take to regain the trust or regain the confidence of a distributor or an agent or something like
Or a
that?
client, if
Or
you're
a client,
working.
even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, sometimes you never get it back. Okay. Sometimes you never get it
So
back.
that really is the impact right there of the day two issue. And so it's imperative that carriers learn how to automate their QA testing so that they can get much broader testing coverage to reduce or eliminate those dreaded day two issues.
No
Ted,
argument there.
I don't think so either. It's really been fun to watch as we've been bringing this product to market, the response we're getting from people, because folks understand that automation is really critical in this process because of the pressure to bring products to market so much faster than ever before. And so that's why we look at QMT as the real benefactor to the industry in terms of really ridding the industry of the dreaded day two issues. Ted, it's really been fun chatting with you this afternoon. I do appreciate it, and I look forward to spending more time with you in the future.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, Rob. Good discussion.
Thanks again.